Dear viewers, welcome to our learning community. We share high-quality educational content and MCQ practice designed to help students in medicine, dentistry, nursing, physical therapy, and pharmacy master medical sciences with clear and strong understanding. Our goal is to support your preparation for international medical exams. We are fully committed to following YouTube community guidelines and international standards. Every video is carefully designed to strengthen your understanding, inspire your success, and make the journey of education both effective and enjoyable. Thank you for being part of our community together. We learn, grow, and create a brighter future. Welcome to this section, where we will explore the fascinating world of cells, the fundamental units of life. In this session, we will cover several important absorb nutrients from food, convert those nutrients into energy, and perform specialized functions that keep us alive and healthy. Now, let's look at the main parts of a cell. A typical cell consists of the cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus, and various organelles. Each part has a specific role that helps the cell function properly. Cell biology is the study of cell structure and function. It is based on the idea that the cell is the fundamental unit of life. By studying cells, we can gain a detailed understanding of the tissues and entire organisms that these cells form. Cytology is the branch of biology that focuses on the structure and function of plant and animal cells. On the other hand, histology is the scientific study of the detailed structure of biological tissues. It uses microscopes to examine tissues that have been carefully prepared with special methods called histological techniques. The major levels of organization in the body range from the simplest to the most complex. They start with atoms, then molecules, cells, tissues, organs, organ systems, 38. Schleiden. A botanist proposed that all plants are made of cells. The following year, Schwann, a zoologist, extended this idea to animals. Finally, in 18 communication and support brain function. Irregular or amoeboid cells, such as white blood cells, defend the body by engulfing pathogens. Cuboidal cells, like kidney tubule cells, movement. The ovum, at about 100 micrometers, is the largest human cell and can be seen with the naked eye. Prokaryotic cells lack a defined nucleus, are smaller and simpler in structure, and have DNA free-floating in the cytoplasm. Examples include bacteria and archaea. In contrast, eukaryotic cells have a defined nucleus where DNA is enclosed within a membrane. They are larger and more complex, containing membrane-bound organelles such as mitochondria, the Golgi apparatus, and the endoplasmic reticulum. Examples include animal cells, plant cells, fungi, and protists. Cells can also be classified as prokaryotic or eukaryotic. Prokaryotic cells, like bacteria, have no true nucleus, are small and simple, and divide by binary fission. They have circular DNA and 7ds ribosomes. Eukaryotic cells, found in animals, plants, fungi, and protists, have a true nucleus, are larger and more complex, and contain membrane-bound organelles like mitochondria, ER, and Golgi. Their DNA is linear with multiple chromosomes. Ribosomes are ADS, and cell division occurs via mitosis or meiosis. Let's compare prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Prokaryotic cells have no nucleus, are small and simple, and divide by binary fission. Their DNA is circular with a single chromosome, and ribosomes are 7ds. A cell wall is usually present, and examples include bacteria and archaea. Eukaryotic cells, on the other hand, have a true nucleus, are larger and more complex, and contain membrane-bound organelles like mitochondria, ER, and Golgi. They divide by mitosis or meiosis, have linear DNA with multiple chromosomes, and ADS. while others are non-organelle components that support cellular function. Organelles involved in cell division include the nucleus, which houses DNA, and the centrosome with its centrioles, important for cell division, and vacuoles, which store nutrients and waste products. Eukaryotic cells contain many membrane-bound organelles, which are organized, and specialized structures within the cell. These include the nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, vacuoles, lysosomes, and mitochondria. In contrast, non-membrane-bound organelles include ribosomes, the cell wall, and the cytoskeleton, which also play essential roles in cell function. This slide shows the structure of a typical cell with its main parts labeled. You can see the cell membrane surrounding the cell, the nucleus containing genetic material, cytoplasm filling the interior, and various organelles such as the mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, lysosomes, and ribosomes. Each component has a specific function that contributes to the overall life and activity of the cell. Structure. The nucleus is typically spherical and surrounded by a double membrane. Attached, while the smooth ER does not. Function. The ER acts as a transport system for proteins and lipids within the cell. The rough ER transports proteins synthesized by ribosomes to other parts of the cell, while the smooth ER is involved in the synthesis of lipids and cholesterol and their transport within the cell. Structure. Ribosomes are small particles made of RNA found freely in the cytoplasm or attached to the surface of the rough ER. Function. Their main function is the synthesis of proteins. Structure. Mitochondria are rod-shaped organelles with a double membrane. The outer membrane is smooth and regular, while the inner membrane is folded to form cristae. Function: known as the powerhouse of the cell, mitochondria release energy and serve as the site for aerobic respiration. Structure: the Golgi apparatus consists of a vacuolar region surrounded by a complex network of vesicles budding off at its ends. Function: it receives proteins and lipids from the ER, modifies them to form during cell division, ensuring proper chromosome separation. Structure: vacuoles are cavities filled with cell fluid, surrounded by a semi-permeable membrane. Function: in animal cells, vacuoles mainly assist in larger processes like exocytosis and endocytosis, supporting overall cellular activity. Structure: the plasma membrane is a thin, semi-permeable membrane composed of a lipid bilayer. Function: it controls the movement of substances in and out of the cell, maintaining the internal environment and protecting the cell. Structure: the cytoplasm is a jelly-like substance that contains water, mineral salts, and various organelles. Function: it serves as a medium for metabolic reactions, allowing biochemical processes to occur within the cell. Mitochondria supply energy to the cell. Lysosomes protect the cell by breaking down and digesting invaders. Centrioles help form cilia and flagella and assist in DNA division. Vacuoles are mainly used for storage. The nucleus stores genetic information. The endoplasmic reticulum produces proteins and lipids and helps break down drugs and alcohol. The Golgi apparatus processes, sorts, and delivers proteins. Vesicles transport materials within the cell, while ribosomes link amino acids to form proteins. This diagram shows a typical animal cell with its main organelles labeled. You can see the nucleolus inside the nucleus, ribosomes on the rough, endoplasmic reticulum, vesicles, the rough and smooth ER, and the Golgi apparatus. The cytoskeleton provides structure, while the mitochondria produce energy. Vacuoles store materials, lysosomes digest waste, and centrioles in the cell nucleus. Progeria, or Hutchinson-Gilford. Progeria syndrome, HGPS, affects the nuclear envelope and causes cells to age prematurely. Emery-Dreifuss muscular dystrophy, EDMD, also involves the nuclear envelope, leading to muscle weakness and nuclear defects. Laminopathies affect the nuclear lamina, resulting in fragile nuclei and tissue problems. In amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, defects in nuclear transport damage nerve cells and impair nuclear function. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, is a disease that slowly damages the nerve cells controlling muscles. It affects movement, speech, swallowing, and breathing, but senses and thinking usually stay normal. Most cases happen randomly, though some run in families due to genetic changes. Symptoms include muscle weakness, twitching, stiffness, and trouble moving. Doctors diagnose ALS with exams and tests like EMG. There is no cure, but medicines and therapies can help manage symptoms. ALS usually affects adults between 40 and 70, and life expectancy is